Bloop. So that was the leisure debate of Moon Knight, the TV series on Disney Plus. So overall, I'll give it like as a TV show, I give it like a 6 or 5 out of 10. There's good episodes and there's bad episodes. Episode 1, as a TV show, it's good. It's a very good way to open up the show, and it's very entertaining. Episode 1, as a TV show, I'm not judging it as a Moon Knight show, I'm judging it as a TV show. Episode 1 is great. It's a very catchy and eye-catching, entertaining thing to do with the whole flipping back and forth between Stephen Grant being in this one area in bed, sleeping, and waking up in a different area in like these German mountaintops, going like, "Hey, where am I?" That is very entertaining. He's like, "Where am I? Where is this going?" It's like a mystery. So seeing Stephen Grant go to these different areas because he just wakes up and passes out and wakes up in this different location, like, oh, he's sleeping here, and all of a sudden he wakes up and he's in a cupcake truck, and he's driving the cupcake truck while people are shooting at him. That is entertaining. That's cool. It's interesting as a film, as a TV show. I'm judging it as a TV show, like I said. I'm not judging it as a Moon Knight show. So episode 1, good. It's very good. I like it. Episode 2, it's bad. It sucks. It's very boring. It's very bland. I don't remember much of what happens in the episode. I think what happens in the episode is him confronting Arthur Harrow in his cult-like building, and he's talking about, hey, what do you want with this golden compass? And he's like explaining like, oh, Khonshu, he's a bad dude, don't trust him. Maybe we can do a treaty, maybe we can work something out and stuff. And he's like, nah, I'm not gonna work things out with you. Moon Knight runs away from that. And so Moon Knight and Layla like, no, we gotta go. Stephen Grant goes and all that stuff. You see Layla fighting people while Stephen Grant is running away, trying to summon the suit. He summons a suit to fight the Anubis dog guy. I forgot what they're called. Jackals, that's what they're called. I didn't call them jackals before. It took me an hour to realize they're called jackals. But he fights the jackals, and it was a pretty cool fight scene where the jackal gets stabbed through the gut by a towel, because there's like a towel, like a spike in the towel. Well, I forgot what it's called. Like a, is it like a satellite dish or like a windmill thing, wind blade thing? I don't know. Stabs on top of the towel thing and Spike, and boom, he's dead. It was pretty cool. I like the fight scenes in this with Moon Knight. Not the Mr. Knight fight scenes, like the Moon Knight fight scenes are pretty cool. But episode 2 was very boring and bland. I didn't remember much of it. I just remember that confrontation with Arthur Harrow, and I remember the fight scene with Moon Knight fighting the Jackal, but that was it. Episode 3, very entertaining. It has a lot of character development with Layla and Mark Spector and Stephen Grant. I liked that. I liked a little bit of Midnight Man, because it was kind of faithful to Midnight Man in the comic books. He just wasn't wearing his costume. But overall, it was a decent episode. A decent, entertaining episode. Episode 4 was the worst episode of the Moon Knight show, in my opinion. It was very boring and bland. I do have a cameo in that episode because I was a goat. Because, you know, my mascot, Ram, is a goat. It's a male sheep goat thing. Well, it's a male sheep, but it's not a goat, but whatever. It's a goat. I'm kind of like a goat. Let's play it out with it. Well, I'm not a goat. I'm just saying I'm a mascot. I'm not a furry or anything like that. It's just my mascot. So my mascot thing was kind of in it. It was like a warning sign saying, like, this episode's going to suck, Ram. Don't watch it. But here we go. So, yeah, Episode 4 wasn't very good. There was a little thing where he's fighting these Egyptian mummies. It's a pretty cool concept in theory, but it's not executed pretty well, because you would want to see the blood and guts of a zombie Egyptian mummy thing, but you don't see blood and guts. It's just like, oh no, the zombie mummy thing is gonna rip out this guy's heart, but you don't see it. He's just like in the background, and it's not very scary. It's like, it's intense if you like PG-13 horror films, but I don't know, I kind of like slasher films. I want to see some action, but you don't see any action. So overall, that episode is very boring and bland, and I kept cringing by the fact of Layla surviving being pulled back into the darkness by a zombie. Like, she didn't have a gun, she didn't have a knife, she had no weapons on her, but she somehow survived being dragged into the darkness by a zombie just by fighting back. They don't show her fighting back, she just comes out of the darkness and she survives, but then she fights another zombie, or the same zombie, it's not clarified, and she fights with a what is it, a flail or something like that. and she wins. I wonderful. It's stupid. Like, she should die. She should have gotten eaten by the. She should have just gotten eaten by the zombie, because it would make more sense to be realistic. But no, they had to have her survive, or at least, at the very least, give her a gun or a knife, so she can fight back in a realistic fashion. While I go like, okay, yeah, she definitely survived that, because she has military training. She has a gun and a knife. She could survive, but nah. She getting dragged back. She getting dragged back into the darkness with nothing but her brute strength and female power. No, that's stupid. I don't like that. It's kind of cringe. But what else? Episode 5, the whole mental asylum thing. Very good as a TV show. It's very entertaining. Very sad, I guess. Kind of sad. But I'll be real with you guys. I didn't think it was that sad. Like, the Joker, the Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker film was very emotional, very sad about the child abuse that happens in that film, where Joker as a kid would get beaten by his mom. Not beaten by. Was he beaten by his mom, or was he beaten by his her boyfriend? I think it was a boyfriend, but. Well, but the Joker was locked to like this a fence post, like to his heater in his house, and his mother's boyfriend would beat him, and he would laugh at the pain in order to feel something, feel like an emotion, like try and make himself happy by laughing at the pain, and that's why every time when he laughs, he's not actually laughing, he's crying, and that was a very emotional scene. It was very heart-wrenching. But in the Moon Knight show, with the abuse of him getting beaten by his mom with the belt, I couldn't feel any emotion. It was just very bland, very generic thing. Like, of course, that's sad to see, a mother abusing a child. That's sad to see in any case. But the acting wasn't there. I just didn't feel any emotion. It just felt like actors on the screen trying to act out a situation. So I didn't think that was that great. And of course, like I mentioned before, in the comic books, that never actually happened. Like, he never got abused as a kid. He actually abused his dad in the comic books as a kid. Well, not as a kid, but as a teen. He beat up his dad. But he wasn't abused by his mom. His mom died when he was young. So in the comic books, his dissociative identity disorder, it came from him feeling guilt and trauma from killing innocent people and children when he was a mercenary in his mercenary days. So it was like a way to like hide from his past. Like, he's pretending to be Stephen Grant to hide from his past. And it wasn't actually dissociative identity disorder in the comic books. It was schizophrenia. He was schizophrenic and he was hiding from his past. So it wasn't DID. He didn't have childhood abuse or anything like that. He was just very schizophrenic. He was just very schizophrenic. He had PTSD and stuff like that. So he was just a mentally ill man who was a very sick man who killed innocent people, who did it for money, and now he has his guilt, so he's hiding from his guilt by being Stephen Grant, by being Jake Lockley, to hide from the guilt. And they do reference this in Episode 5. They do, in fact, reference this. In Episode 5, they have a scene where Arthur Harrow is talking to him about his past, about Stephen Grant, and he's like, Mark, I think Stephen Grant may be like a way to hide from your past, a way to hide from the guilt of killing innocent people in your mercenary past, and a way to start a new life from scratch. I don't think it's from anything else. It has to be from that. So that was a reference to the comic books, because in the comic books, that's exactly what happened. He's a bad dude who lives with regret from his past, and he hates himself for his past of killing innocent people. So he would rather be Stephen Grant. He would rather be Jake Lockley than himself. And that is what Moon Knight is. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted to do the Jeff Lemire version where he had childhood trauma that they didn't explain in the comic books. Because in the Jeff Lemire comic books, they left it open to interpretation. Like, he just has DID as a kid. They don't show or tell why he has DID or dissociative identity, or show or tell why he has dissociative identity disorder in the comic books. They just show that he had it since he was a kid. And then in the Max Bemis comic books, they do mention that he got his dissociative identity disorder from witnessing a childhood friend, not childhood friend, but a family friend, murder a kid in a basement. And he saw it and he's like, oh, I'm traumatized. I can't tell anyone about this, but I'm living with the guilt of knowing that a family friend, someone that we trust, something that my dad trusts was a mortal, a serial killer. So that was the Max Bemis version. That was a stupid version. It was terrible. I hate it, and I also hate the Jeff Lemire version. I think you should just kept him as a bad guy with schizophrenia who has so much guilt that he would rather pretend to be a different person. He would rather be Stephen Grant. He would rather be Jake Lockley instead of Mark Spector. That's how it should have been, but you didn't do that. But overall, as an episode, as a TV show episode, not as a Moon Knight show, but not as a Moon Knight related property, but as a TV show, episode 5 was good. It was decent. It wasn't very well acted because, of course, the Joker was a better acted film. It's not very relatable for people with mental health trauma because it kind of vilifies that in the Joker film, but the emotional scene of him being abused as a kid in the Joker film is more emotional than whatever that mom abusing Mark Spector as a kid with the belt in the Moon Knight show. That was not as dramatic. That was not as emotional to me than the Joker film. Because I didn't feel like the acting was there. I didn't feel like the actors knew how to portray it that well. I didn't think the directors know how to portray it that well. Because it just felt like a one-and-done thing. I even checked the timer too. Because the Moon Knight's mom was only in 1 minute and 30 seconds of the film. I mean, the TV show. 1 minute and 30 seconds of the TV show the mom was in. So you can't do that. You can't show that much emotion for the mom for only 1 minute and 30 seconds. That's not a lot of time to have emotion. I didn't feel like anything for. I didn't feel any like anger over her being abusive. I didn't feel any sadness for her or guilt over her losing her son. I didn't feel any emotion because you only had her for 1 minute and 30 seconds. And the acting was not good. It was decent, but it was not good. It wasn't film quality acting. It was like very generic TV show acting. It was like soap opera acting. But also, as a comic book fan, I hate the Randall Spector in this TV show. Because in the comic books, Randall Spector is a bad guy who murdered Mark Spector's girlfriend Lisa with a grenade and ran away. He betrayed his friend. He betrayed Mark Spector, his brother, by fleeing to a different mercenary crew or mercenary team because he got a higher paycheck. And Mark Spector, who is working for the CIA at the time as a mercenary freelancer, he decided to fight back Randall Spector because, of course, Randall Spector not only stole documents that the CIA has in order to give it to the mercenary crew, he also killed Lisa. So he has a grudge against Randall Spector, so he killed Randall Spector with a grenade. But of course, comic books, so Randall Spector didn't die from the grenade. He survived and later came back as a Hatchet Man, and then later came back as Shadow Knight. And Randall Spector is Hatchet Man in the Randall Spector as Hatchet Man in the 80s, not 80s comics, but the 1979 miniseries by Doug Munch is amazing. It's very well written. You can't have that well written Doug Munch 1979 Hatchet Man in this Marvel Disney Plus TV show or Marvel MCU version of Moon Knight because you have Randall Spector being this innocent kid who just died from drowning in the show. By having that as simple as that, you cannot have him being this ultra evil villain who wants to die, because the whole idea of Randall Spector that makes him cool, the Hatchet Man makes him cool and interesting, is that like Mark Spector, who was an evil, brutal mercenary who died and was brought back to life by Moon Knight, Randall Spector, he was an evil, brutal mercenary who died and was brought back to life by mysterious circumstances, but instead of deciding to become a superhero and redeem his past as a superhero and fight back the guilt, because he has so much guilt in him, Randall Spector instead hates himself now. And with Randall Spector, as soon as he came back to life, he hated himself because he had so much guilt of killing innocent people in his past that he would be suicidal. So he didn't want to come back to life, and who brought him back to life? A nurse. So he decided to become a serial killer and started killing all these nurses in the comic books because a nurse brought him back to life, and he didn't want to come back to life. He wanted to stay dead. So he started killing all these nurses, and that's very interesting. So it's like an interesting contrast between Mark Spector, who was a bad guy who dies and gets brought back to life as a superhero, while Randall Spector was a bad guy who dies and can't live with the guilt. He has so much guilt he would rather die and be suicidal. It's a very interesting contrast, and it would have been great to have in like a Netflix Moon Knight TV show, but we can't have that because number one, Netflix sucks now, and number two, he's in the MCU now. He's a Disney Plus character, so you can't even have a different company make a Moon Knight TV show. You can't have a new company make Moon Knight as a TV show. You can't have him anywhere else but the Disney Plus Moon Knight TV show. So it sucks. So as an episode, like I said, episode 5 is good as an episode, but as a Moon Knight TV show, as a Moon Knight property, I hate episode 5 and I hate episode 1. I hate most of these episodes. As a Moon Knight fan, I hate the show. As a big diehard Moon Knight fan, this show sucks, okay? But as a TV show, as an MCU watcher or like a casual comic book fan, it's an okay, decent 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 show.